What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is going to be your review for RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15, Episode 3. So, we start this episode off, we have the goodbye message from Irene. Yeah. She said she pooped in somebody's station, girl, yeah. Then we get a little bit of the tea on what the deal was with Robin and Amethyst, and it was really anticlimactic. Okay, they dated and it ended. Robin said they just mutually stopped talking to each other. Amethyst said she was the one that ended it, and there will be no returns, no going back. That door is closed, sealed shut. Hammer, nails, not opening back up. So I just feel like that was just real anti. Like, whatever, we over it. So we find out what the maxi challenge is. There's no mini challenge this week. Ru comes in and talks to everybody. And the maxi challenge is an infomercial. And the infomercial is they are basically selling heaven. Like, what would gay heaven look like, right? What would the LGBTQ heaven look like, run by drag queens, basically. And they're presenting it in the form of an infomercial. And I thought that was cute. So it's going to be 3 different teams. Team 1 is Anitra because she won the challenge. Team 2, Amethyst, because, well, she lost, but she lived to see another day. And then Team 3 would be everybody left. So they were calling them the leftovers, which I thought was rude, but it is what it is, child. So season 1, why did I say season 1? Team 1 ended up being Anitra, of course, Lux Lore, S15, titties, Selena S-titties. I'm sorry. I feel like I keep messing her name up. Sasha Fierce. Not Beyonce, child. Sasha Colby, Lord, and Marsha. Second group was Amethyst, Lucy, Aurora, Spice, and Poppy. And I thought it was interesting that they separated Sugar and Spice. The people who were left over was Mistress, Jax, Sugar, and Malaysia. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. After the fact that Jax almost won, I was really surprised nobody picked Jax up. So that makes me feel like maybe there's some stuff going on personality-wise that people have maybe picked up on. Because I sort of picked up on it a little bit this episode. Because she's very athletic, can definitely perform, and almost, was in the top 2 last week. So thought it was interesting that she wasn't picked by either team. So the first thing we notice is, now I understand why the leftover team wasn't picked up by nobody, because they were literally, Sugar was coming through with all these ideas, but was all over the place and was just kind of talking. Jax sort of shut her down and was like, okay, girl, no. Like, I'm going to need you to go over there and I'm going to need you to stop talking for a minute, which I thought was really rude. I really thought that Sugar had some pretty good ideas. I mean, maybe it was all over the place. Maybe it was, but hone it in. Like, let's have the conversation. Let's flesh it out. But, Aurora and Lucy were kind of doing the same. No, Poppy. We're kind of doing the same thing in the other group, but and Amethyst was kind of like letting it happen. A little bit frustrated, but kind of like, letting it kind of go on all at the same time. We get to the infomercial practice, which of course is being directed by Michelle Visage. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. You know how usually, of course, they show you the bloopers. They show you what people are messing up. But they do show you a couple of good things. I ain't going to lie. I was confused about all of this. I knew Sasha was going to be Godchild. I knew we was going to have a, I think, who played Dolly Parton? Lucy, I think it was, or Aurora. Played Dolly Parton because, of course, you think about a drag icon, that kind of thing. But I just didn't understand what anybody was doing. So, honestly, I needed to see the final product. So, we saw the infomercials. I'm going out of order because the runway was first and then the infomercials. But I'm going to give y'all the infomercials and then I'm going to talk about the runway, chat. Well, let's talk about Mirror Talk first. So, as they were getting ready for the show, we have our Mirror Talk, of course. And this one, they got to talking about religion, because they were like, hey, you know, we're talking about gay heaven, like who believes in God, who believes in heaven. And so Malaysia started telling her story, and she was like, look, you know, I grew up in church, I grew up singing in the choir, I was taught that homosexuality was wrong, but I knew that I had an attraction to boys, and I was confused because I was like, why would God make me like this if this is wrong? If it's a sin, why would he do this to me? And Malaysia talked about how she really struggled with it, but her mom and her family was very supportive when she came out. They were very supportive of, and she said, my mom is supportive of everything I do, so including my drag and all of that. So that was great. And then Mistress started telling her story, and Mistress was like, well, basically her story was the total opposite. She said her mom found her drag stuff and basically put her out the house. At 17 years old, she said, I was homeless, you know, and she said I cut off communication with my family at 17. And she said, honestly, if it weren't for drag, I don't know what I would do. She said, it's a cliche, but drag really is my family. She said, I made it, you know, I was homeless, but I made it happen. I went from gig to gig, and the money I made from the different gigs is what kept me and what took care of me. And it, you know, I just kept working and kept going and kept going and kept going. And both of them were very emotional. It was a very emotional moment, and I was here for it. I just thought it was a good story. You know, I mean, I'm sorry to hear that that's what happened to Mistress, but I'm appreciative that they shared their story and that they, you know, let us know, you know, the different experiences and stuff like that. So infomercial number one, Anitra's group, in my opinion, was the best one. It was really funny. There was a clear-cut story. They were selling it as if you were going to a resort, and they were telling you all the amenities, right? Sasha Fierce played, you know, the guide, aka God. I don't want to say that she was God, but and it was funny. Like, it was really, really funny. Like, I laughed. It was funny. And again, the only thing that was kind of awkward was at the end when they were like, we're at Palm Springs, because of course that's, you know, gay paradise. And I was like, okay. But for the most part, it was at Amethyst Group. That might have been Amethyst Group, child. So Amethyst Group, I did not like it at all. I thought that it was raunchy. Raunchy humor doesn't really do it for me. Like, in the beginning, you know, they had this whole thing with the pit crew and the person on their knees. And, it, you know, they were, of course, giving you the impression that she was performing fellatio. Wasn't funny for me. Then there was a point about the facial, and, of course, they were talking about the other kind of facial, and they had squirting and stuff. That's just not my kind of humor. But if it had been well thought out and funny, I definitely would have been here for it. But it just didn't land for me. Lux did really good. Lux was with Anitra's group, and I'm sorry, it just popped in my head. Lux did really, really good. Lux did really, really good. I'm gonna get back to her because her runway, I loved her runway too. The third group, the quote unquote the leftovers, child, they was just all over the place. I mean, I don't feel like there was a clear-cut story there. Sugar was actually pretty good because Sugar played like, you know, drunk white girl that kind of stumbled into this place. But I don't feel like they were selling it as if it were, they weren't selling it as if it were heaven. I feel like they were selling it like, I don't know. It confused me. It really did confuse me. Now, Jax was in her fifis because she was like, I wrote the whole thing, and they just weren't listening to the cues, and they weren't following, and if it wasn't for me, you know, I don't know what they would have done, and they didn't have any dialogue, and so I was like, okay, maybe that's why they ain't picked Jax up, because I feel like Jax is one of those, like, I got it all, I know it all, I did it all kind of things. I'm like, okay, all right then. So the runway was Metallica. And let me say this. Again, I loved the runway. There was a few that I wasn't as crazy about, so let's get into it. Anitra, she came out giving me trench coat. She said Lady Gaga. I was thinking Matrix. Like, it was giving me, you know, that whole metallic trench coat, high boots moment. I was here for it. Oh, the guest judge is Marin Morris. and T.S. Madison, who was a permanent rotating judge this season. So, you know how sometimes we see Carson, sometimes we'll see Ross, you know, depending on, I guess, if they have other things going on. So I'm wondering if Carson isn't a rotating judge anymore and it's just T.S., or if it's both of them. But we'll see as the weeks go on. But congrats to my girl T.S. I love me some T.S. Madison. Yes, yes, and yes again. Next was Sasha. Loved Sasha's look. It was very showgirl, but it looked like a bird, like a phoenix. She said phoenix rising from the ashes. She had this peacock of a headpiece, had a tail off the back. It was gorgeous. I was here for it. You go, Miss Girl, Miss Sasha. Selena, she had like a pantsuit, but it had like signs on it. I mean, it was okay. It was okay. Lux, oh my goodness, Lux. It was this gold dress. The hair, the wig was everything. Her makeup was on point. Y'all know I wasn't impressed with her workroom makeup the first entrance, but I was loving her makeup. I was loving the dress, and I wrote here Simone because she was reminding me of Simone in that moment. I ain't saying she looked just like her, but she reminded me of Simone in that moment. I was here for it. Yes, Lux. Marsha was giving us very Tin Man, Wizard of Oz. They still weren't impressed with her makeup, but it was more there. It was definitely more makeup there. Amethyst had this gold lame, very beautiful, with a train. It was like flowing. It was beautiful. I really was here for it. Princess Poppy gave me blue, honey. I was here for the pop of blue. Now, her outfit was not, it wasn't as elevated as the rest of the ladies, but I do love that blue wig, blue makeup, I mean, you know, lipstick and stuff. I loved it. I really loved that. Spice, again, it was like an aqua blue, but it was very Judy Jetson. She had like a mechanical dog on the stage and everything. Aurora was gold with green. I wrote, it looked like, it reminded me of Envy from the Batman movies. Was Ivy. Y'all know what I'm talking about? They had that green, the green, yeah. That's what that really reminded me of. Lucy was this intergalactic warrior. I loved Lucy's outfit. I loved it. You know, bodice, very fitted. I loved it. I loved it. Jax, she said that hers was Jax, you know, who she's named after, was very Jax Mortal Kombat. It had camo on it. It was different. It wasn't the same Metallica like everybody else. So I liked it because it was different, and it didn't go along with the obvious theme, right? It was outside the box. Robin had like this warrior. I wrote old, so when I think like she had a spear, it was like old school warrior, right? It had a spear and stuff like that. Mistress had this gold outfit with the gold like link, like a large link chain. Again, outside of the box. It wasn't the spot on metallic, right? Sugar, I wrote Pink Bratz doll, and I wrote basic. It was very basic. Malaysia, I loved Malaysia's. It was this white metallic dress with the chains on it, again outside of the box, not the literal gold, I mean metallic. I loved it. So after the judges, you know, of course they do their thing. Who we had at the top was Lux, Sasha, and Lucy. Sasha walks away the winner, and she deserved it. She deserved it. She was really good. At the bottom, we had Jax, Amethyst, and Princess Poppy. Jax was safe, but the one thing she did that I don't think Ru liked. Y'all know Ru don't like somebody getting on stage and trying to like deflect, and because she was like, well, I did this and I did this and I did that, and she said that she wrote everything, and Ru was like, okay, well, what was your dialogue? And she was like, well, I mean, my team was ad-libbing, and so the dialogue that I wrote, it wouldn't have made sense, so my lines just sort of kind of got lost because they just did their own thing. And Ru was like, oh. I said, okay, you better be careful, like, you ain't gonna give it one more chance. Maybe that, maybe not even that. Okay, girl. So the lip sync was between Amethyst and Princess Poppy. Ain't No Mountain High Enough by Diana Ross. Now let me say two things. Thing number one, Amethyst, you're not gonna be a cat in this game and have 9 lives. Okay, you was in the bottom last week. You in the bottom this week. That's not, girl. Number two, I was not impressed with either one of their lip syncs. Now, I know that Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Donna Ross. Like, you have two choices with that. You could either give me full-on Donna Ross, like, channel your best Donna Ross, Dancing in the Rain, Central Park, and that bodysuit, and give me all of the Diana. Or you can go campy, but what you can't do is be halfway in both. And I feel like both ladies were halfway in both. I feel like Amethyst was trying to give me classic Diana, but she wasn't fully selling it. And I feel like Princess Poppy was trying to give me campy, but you didn't fully sell it, or you just weren't funny enough. Whatever it was, you just wasn't giving it to me, okay? But ultimately, Princess Poppy is going home. Amethyst lives to see another day. But girl, let me tell you, again, you don't have but so many lives in this, okay? You don't have but so many lives, girl. So anyway, that is it. Y'all let me know what y'all think, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace.